Hey, what's going on? It's Dharma Guy, and you are watching or listening, both, maybe, I don't know, to Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com, the problem-solving network where we stream solutions. We're having a great day here, and was at New Smyrna Beach, enjoying ourselves. Decent weather today. It's not overly hot, but it's still too hot for me personally, I guess. Anyways, got a pretty cool show today for you. I'm kind of fired up for it. I had a lot of good responses last week, actually, from the happiness episode. So thank you for everybody who watched that and shared it and told your friends about it. Hopefully it provides some value for you. Like I said, I got some pretty good feedback for it. So who knows? Maybe I'll do a part 2 someday. Anyways, I am fired up about today's show. However, I got to do some house cleaning first and kind of to make sure we thank those who support us. So we'll start out with Journey Pure. Journey Pure, thank you so much. It's a fantastic sponsor. They, I wore Patrick Dunn. I almost called him Warwick Dunn. Wow, that's old school.
Yeah, I heard you.
Dunn, the FSU player. Wow. Patrick Dunn. I'll be calling you soon, actually, brother. But thank you, Journey Pure. We also have Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. Such a mouthful, but it's such a great place. But I'm always afraid I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah, who was just complimenting you right now? Oh, Jim Marshall was just complimenting
Yes.
Retreat
Yes.
without knowing they were one of our major sponsors.
Right on. Yeah, Jim Marshall from Serenity Springs was just in here, helping out one of our people, by the way. But yes, and then of course we have the Orange County Drug Free Coalition, Orange County with Carol Burkett. She is fantastic and awesome. She's always a great supporter. And then of course, as I got the shirt on, Now Matters More Foundation. For those of you that participated or supported our golf tournament that we had, was it last week? Thank you so much for that. It went really well, and we have plenty of pictures up there. And then if you want to donate or support us in any way, shape, or form, you can go to nowmattersmore.org and feel free to donate and see what we're all about. Share, tell your friends. We do good work. So I'm a little biased, I guess, but I still think we do good work, man. Anyways, so today's show. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, do it.
I will. It's good. Thank you. Thank you for your
Were you
permission.
waiting for a command?
I was, actually.
Invitation?
No, so, the interesting thing is, and once again, the format of the show is now him and I kind of have some discussions because we get into a lot of these types of discussions typically, and I figure why not do them on air for everybody to hear. So the discussion that we're going to have today is an interesting one because I was trying to figure out what to talk about, and I usually try to use what's happening in the news at the moment to find a way to relate to it in a more spiritual sense or give a different philosophical perspective, if you will. And the two things that came to mind that I saw was the Stormy Daniels thing with Donald Trump and Stormy Daniels, that whole scandal, if you want to call it that, I guess. And the other thing...
Scandal.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would personally call it that, but who knows?
Dirty laundry.
Yeah.
I don't know
it's
about
probably
scandal.
more realistic.
Scandal if she was in the Oval Office doing it.
That would be a scandal.
That would
for
be
sure.
a scandal.
Anyways, for those who care about it, they call it whatever they want. And then, of course, the other aspect was on Saturday. I think they had the students marching for the school shooting and things of that nature. Those are the two big things that I saw that were in the news. So I was trying to figure out a way of approaching those topics in a spiritual sense. And I kind of, what I stumbled across was a couple phrases that I saw where I'm going to kind of pull them in together. So for those of you who saw my story on Facebook or on Instagram, if you're following me, it's at the Dharma Guy. I saw a couple postings that made me realize a way I can tie it all in, right? And so the posting that I saw that kind of started this whole train of thought for me, and there's different variations of it, but the phrase that I saw was, if you don't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. That was the phrase that I saw, right? And I bear with me, I'm going to make this all fit, because the whole topic of today is it's not about you, or is it? And so in some sense, it is about you. In other senses, it's not about you, right? And so starting with the accept me at my word. Have you heard that phrase, by the way? I'm sure you have.
Are you talking about me?
Maybe. It's not about you, or is it? But so no, that phrase, right? I think we've all at some point or another heard it or heard some variation.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure who gets credit. I've seen Marilyn Monroe get credit for it, but I'm not even sure if that's legit or not.
Oh, I don't even think I've ever seen anyone get credit. I just think people feel good saying it.
I know a lot of people do say it, but I personally have a real problem with that phrase, though. Like, I don't like that phrase at all. I can't stand that.
What is it about it that really gets you?
It's funny you should ask.
Maybe you should do a show on it,
I should, maybe. But no, the thing I don't like about it is twofold, right? So the first half of it that I don't like is the accept me at my worst.
Okay.
I understand the idea of accepting somebody at their worst, and to an extent, I'm okay with that. I think we should accept everybody for who they are, kind of a deal. However, the idea of accepting somebody at their worst means, I take it to mean anyways, when I've heard it said numerous times, is basically, don't say anything. Allow me to be in my worst and kind of hang around me still and just let me be, kind of a thing.
Let me work through it.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the part of the problem we have in today's society at the moment is we don't want to be held accountable. We don't want to grow. And so I know for me, when I'm at my worst, I don't want you to accept me at my worst. I want you to speak up as a friend.
Challenge me.
I want you to be like, hey, what's your deal, man?
This is not okay.
Yeah, this is not good behavior. You need to improve on this. You need to work this out somehow. I don't want you just to accept it and be like, oh, well, that's just him. Like, no, man, that doesn't encourage growth in any way, shape, or form. And it kind of goes into what we're going to talk about a little bit later in this whole kind of me thing that we got going on.
What are people really trying to say there, you think, when they say accept me at my worst?
What I hope that they're trying to say, and this might be my Buddhism coming out, but what I hope they're trying to say is stick around.
Okay.
Don't leave me because I'm in a bad mood today. That's what I hope they're trying to say.
But I guess when I hear worst, I think of some of the bad things that maybe some of us have done to people.
Yeah. Well, that's, there's one person I was on the phone with this morning on the way in, and they were asking about what the topic was going to be, and they got it, right? They got it right off the bat. They're like, no, I feel sorry for the people who get me my worst because I'm not good at my worst. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get across is when you say accept me at my worst, once again, I think what you're trying to say, what you are saying is excuse my behavior, right? I'm having a bad day.
Right.
And no, we shouldn't excuse each other's bad behavior. We should always be responsible for our behavior.
And why should your loved ones get your worst? Because you probably give your best to everybody else, but give your loved ones the worst.
And that's the other half of it that I don't like.
That sucks.
So the other half I don't like is this viewpoint of you don't deserve me at my best. Really? Like that just alone bothers me. Like, what could another human being do to you that means that other human doesn't deserve your best behavior? Right? Like, what if we taught our children that? You know what I mean? Like, well, they gotta deserve your behavior before you start behaving correctly. Like, I hate that concept.
Isn't there like an oxymoron in there, like saying, I don't have to earn anything from you, but you don't. If you don't do this, you don't earn it from me.
There's the me that I'm talking about. Look at that. He gets it, guys.
I got it.
I like that.
For real?
Absolutely. That's my me.
Ding, ding, ding. Somebody give me a prize. You got any of those raffle prizes left from the...
There's a whole bunch of shirts in there for you.
There's some shirts and some snacks.
But no, that's the thing I have. The problem I have with it is this whole me. Is basically, it's all about you accepting me at my worst, and it's all about you not being able to deserve me at my best. It's all about me.
It's a double standard.
Yeah. What about other people? Like, what about the other person who might not be at their best at the moment? Where's that fall into this category? Yeah. And it's not. And that's the problem that I'm having is it's always about me. Right. In the society we're in at the moment, we spend an absurd amount of money and an absurd amount of time trying to find I did a whole show last week on happiness.
Right.
Not because I necessarily thought it was the greatest show to have, but because so many people wanted it. And so we spend so much time and money trying to find, ways of out of depression, ways of happiness and stuff. And yet we still kind of approach things with this me mentality.
Right.
It's about me. It's all about my perspective. It's all about my happiness. It's all about what I think should or shouldn't happen. Like the masturbation show we did. All these things must be in place for me.
Yeah.
Is that working? I'm going to say no.
Well,
I'm going to say it's not working. That's why we spend so much money on antidepressants. That's why we spend so much money seeking happiness and things of that nature.
So much money on wine.
That too. Which would be their version of an antidepressant, I guess.
Right.
So, and so the way I'm going to tie that all in, and I'm going to just throw it all out there, and you and I can just run with it. I got a list here, but who needs lists?
Yeah.
We're not known for sticking to lists.
That and badges, not necessary.
Yeah, right. So the other half of kind of what brought me to this show topic today was watching the marching going on for the students.
Okay.
And I'm going to do my best to be somewhat delicate here. As delicate as I can be, I guess.
As delicate as a guy your size can be.
Exactly. A bowl in the china shop. But no, so what I found interesting was I was watching a show, and they had these kids on there from the Parkland High School area, where I don't remember the name of the school at the moment, something Douglas, I think. But anyways, So they were there, and they were having an interview on national television and talking about it. And one of the things that they said at the end of the interview was that they were hurting still, and people don't realize that they're still hurting, and that it's hard for them to try to go to school when there's still media members there and people there taking pictures and stuff like that.
So much attention still being drawn to it.
And so for me, the irony there is they're telling me this on national television. And so it's like, it was a moment where I'm like, my up until this point, I kind of was, I don't know if I want to say I was on the bandwagon, but I was kind of on the bandwagon. I understood where they're coming from. I didn't necessarily agree with their choice of resolution.
Right.
But I could appreciate standing for something and pushing and things of that nature, because I bought into all the rhetoric of rah, 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 anti-shootings, right? But then that moment got me to thinking, do they really care about the shootings? Because one of the kids said that he was born during Columbine, and he said he had 17 shootings since he's been a kid, which is a horrible number for sure.
A lot of numbers. Well, that's a weird number. 17 is 17 dead, too.
Yeah. But I don't ever remember seeing him all over the news or all these hashtags for the first 16, right? And so,
Well, nobody was putting a camera in his face during those.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you don't require a camera to do Facebook Live.
Sure.
You don't.
Okay.
All these other
All right.
hashtags.
Yeah.
In
other words, was there a hashtag before this?
no, there was not.
Okay.
And so I guess that's where my moment of pause comes into play.
Okay.
And you and I talked about this the other day. And so my problem, what we talked about was the fact that I'm going to say that had this latest shooting not occurred in their particular school, that today they would not be hashtagging anything. They would instead be worried about, whatever 18-year-olds in high school worry about nowadays. Who's wearing what, who's dating whom, whatever. Because I know I have kids that are in school.
So do I.
And they're not spending every day talking about this stuff. They're not hashtagging. They're not doing any of that stuff.
I hate to say it because I think we have good kids, but my kids don't even really think about it.
It's not on the radar.
It's not an issue.
And some would argue that that's human nature. You don't worry about stuff until it impacts you directly.
Sure.
And I guess that's kind of the problem, right? That's that me generation. Or not even. I keep catching myself saying me generation because I don't think
was
it's
us. That was me.
Well, I think the me right now is a societal thing. I think as a society, that's kind of where we're at.
It's because the me generation are the parents.
Yeah, maybe.
That was us.
It's all about me, right? And so, like, I care about the shootings, but only because it impacted me. If it didn't impact me, well, then my day kind of goes on as normal.
Or you only care about it as well, people that weren't impacted directly because you're watching it on the news every 5 seconds.
Well, and now it's the end thing to do.
I mean, we got big international things happening right now, and yet this is dominating the news coverage. Between this
and the politics.
And the porn star,
well, and that's the thing.
That is all that you see on the news right now. And it's all politics.
And those are my two things, right? So with the school shooting aspect, where everybody's all about gun control and everything else, I don't typically hear or see any of that stuff kind of, from most individuals until something major like this happens.
Right.
And it's typically the people who were affected by it. Right. Same thing with the politics, right? And I think you've brought this up in private conversations before. How many people 5 years ago could have told you anything about what DACA was?
Nothing.
I'd never even heard the word DACA prior to that, to be honest with you.
I could have, because I have people involved.
Sure.
But not the normal everyday person. They didn't care about DACA.
So all these people who are like uber political right now have all these opinions. I'm going to argue that they don't really care about politics. I think what they care about is somebody that they detest for whatever reason won. And so now they're offended. So now they're paying attention to politics. Now they're into it. Now they're trying to tout themselves as experts and they have an opinion on everything.
Right.
And so I guess where you and I talked about it, I think it was yesterday before, my problem isn't the fact that they're doing these things now. By all means, get involved. By all means, join the movements and stuff. I think that's amazing. But how about just a little bit of self-awareness? How about a little bit of self-awareness to realize maybe you're not that altruistic. Maybe it's a little bit more selfish. Maybe it's a little bit more I'm impacted now, so now I'm awakened to this issue and I'm going to be vocal about it.
Or it makes you feel like you're a better person for some reason.
Possibly, yeah. And I think that's the problem I'm having right now is because I see this trend happening, right? And I wrote a couple of them down, so I'll just spout a few of them out. Then let's have at it.
All right.
So the other ones I hear all the time, and anybody with social media, Facebook or Instagram, I guarantee you have at least 3 or 4 of these in your feed because everybody's a philosopher on social media nowadays. But the one I see is something like "Don't bother me, don't disturb me if you're not ready for marriage" or something. The other one was I don't know what's wrong. I keep finding the wrong woman or the wrong man or the wrong person to be with. Don't let someone steal your sunshine. The nicer you are, the easier it is to be hurt. You need to be an asshole. I'm sure you've heard some variation of all those. Excuse me, I got there we go. Right on. We're both just
I just had to do it with you.
Yeah, man. It's the pollen, bro. I'm telling you.
I don't want you to do it alone.
Thank you, man. That's solidarity, brother. So, anyways, my point is I think that's where our problem is, man. I think that's where we're kind of going astray. Is it's always about me.
Yeah.
It's not about what I'm able to contribute. One of my favorite phrases when it comes to relationships is stop looking for the right person, try to be the right person.
Right.
And so, like, one of them, the what is it? Don't let somebody steal your sunshine.
Okay.
I'm just curious as to how many people see that and challenge that. Because when I see people post it, I see a lot of like, yeah, and right on, I agree, it's tough out there. I don't see anybody come in and be like, I'm calling bullshit. Sorry. I don't think anybody's out there trying to steal your sunshine. I don't think anybody cares enough about your sunshine to take it. I think you got into a relationship. Neither one of you guys were skillful in that relationship, and it went south. And you have a problem with however this individual treated you, responded, reacted, or whatever it may be, and you just it didn't work out. I don't think that person woke up and was like, man, because I've had some exes, and you've had exes, and some of them were better.
I've had
than
no
others.
exes.
Really?
No, they were all just befores. No, seriously.
Touche.
I've had no exes.
Well, that's kind of what I mean.
Dana's my first girlfriend.
So
all the rest, they know what they are.
sure.
I appreciated every single one of you.
Right on. I'm going to leave that one alone. But anyway,
They're all cool with
my
me.
point being is I don't think that ex or that before, if you want to call it that.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think that person woke up and was like, boy, I'm going to take Louis' sunshine today. I'm bored.
Can't steal my sunshine.
I've got nothing to do, and I'm going to take his sunshine. They're out to steal it. No, man.
You don't think there's people out there with that agenda is what you're saying? There's sunshine stealers.
I don't think so. No,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a rash of sunshine stealers out there.
I don't think I've ever heard a guy talk about, I'm going to be a sunshine stealer.
No, and I've spoken to many women and many men in my life. And
Right.
I've never heard any of them say, man, I'm going to steal somebody's sunshine today. And I guarantee you that at least a few of those people I've spoken to has somebody else on the other side of things thinking that they're the ones that took their sunshine.
I almost want to check that hashtag sunshine stealer.
Yeah,
See if
man.
anybody's ever used it.
If it isn't, it is now.
It is now.
But so my point is like kind of what I was talking about last week with happiness is, who stole your sunshine? You.
You gave it up.
Yeah.
It didn't get
Like,
stolen.
nobody stole it from you. Yeah. It was you had all these masturbations. You had all these must-haves, all these conditions around whatever it was, that relationship, and how this person's going to act and treat you and everything else. And they didn't live up to those expectations, and so now they're the problem.
Right.
And I think that's part of our issue right now as a society, right? And so I don't know if we've even. I don't think I've ever talked about my position on air, anyways, with the school shooting thing. So I am now.
Okay.
So my position is this: I don't think that the gun control issue is going to solve anything. I really don't. I don't think taking away guns or making them harder to get. I don't think that's the answer. I think that's a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. And the bigger problem, and you and I have talked about this at length, and if anybody's listened to the Couch Live at all, I know I mentioned on there, what I think the problem is coping skills, pain. I think that there's so many people out there, and young people, for instance, because I got 4 of them in my house, and I see what they go through.
Right.
It's different times right now. And so all these young people are dealing with pain on various different levels, right? You got the pain of whatever maybe domestic situations they're in. Maybe there's some violence there. Maybe there's some infidelity. Maybe who knows what kind of familial problems are happening.
Yeah.
But then you also got the pain of just normal teenage angst of being accepted and rejection and who's dating who and all these other things.
So much.
And then you got also they're all exposed to so much more than what they're ready to see nowadays with the internet. They can just Google whatever, and as much as you try to kind of point them in the right direction, they're going to look up stuff. Man, my daughter at 8 years old was trying to Google sex the other day. You know what I mean? So they're going to try it. It's up to us, obviously, to intercede that. Right. But
it's probably for a school project.
Sure. We need to talk to the teacher on that one. But no, my point being, though, is that they're dealing with so much pain,
Yeah.
and they're seeing so many things that they might not be ready to understand or deal with, and
You know-
nobody's giving them those tools.
No, you know what the teaching actually is? Instead of us becoming more evolved and learning that the real issue with drug problems and suicide and depression and low self-esteem and bullying and gun shooting that is truly not able to deal with pain and frustration.
Yeah.
But instead of evolving in that way, we're teaching young people how to blame. Blame your
Yeah.
administration.
Yeah.
Blame your teachers. Blame the doctors. Blame the government. Blame the cops. Blame the whatever color you're not.
And that's the me stuff, right?
It's all
never,
blame.
It's never me. It's always somebody else,
Right.
Right. It's in a bad relationship, right? It's never, you know what, my ex or whatever,
Right.
this person I was with wasn't the greatest, but neither was I. It's never that, right? It's
Right.
always, oh, my ex is just a terrible human being. They're the worst person ever. Blah blah blah. Really? Like really?
Somebody's ex is, but it may not be yours.
Yeah, what I mean? Like, let's just have some honesty here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Were you perfect in that situation?
Yeah.
And so, like, this whole idea with the gun control kind of, to me, fits within that me stuff. It's never, hey, maybe we're failing our youth right now. Maybe we need to do a better job in kind of helping them. No. It's the guns.
Right.
It's these people. It's the cop that didn't
Right.
run in. It's
Right.
no, man.
No, we're failing our own communities.
Yes.
We're failing our neighbors. We're failing our
Yes.
coworkers.
Yes.
I mean, people give the worst advice, and we know it the best when we deal with drug and alcohol problems, brother. We've heard that advice that
Yes.
other people give.
Yes.
I mean, we fail each other as friends. We just suck as friends, much less interpersonal relationships and more deeper connections.
Well, I saw a classic example of that. Even was I think it was a couple of days ago. I'm in one of these groups, and somebody put in the group some sort of discord having with their boyfriend or something, right? And all these people instantly tuned.
Oh,
they
yeah.
they had all
Hate.
these opinions, right? And it was mostly just they're bad, they're dump them, all these other things,
Yeah.
right? I was one of the few people that and it was interesting that my post was, hey, neither myself or anybody on here is going to know you or your spouse well enough to give you a helpful answer right now.
Right on.
I think you need to be having this particular conversation with your boyfriend, not us. And not only that, but reaching out to Facebook has never ended well for a relationship. And the funny part about that though
What?
is a lot of them liked my comment,
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
which is weird because they could appreciate what they felt to be sound advice,
Right.
But their own advice was, yeah, dump them. That's wrong. And then they immediately couldn't wait to jump against this individual, hearing only one side of the equation. And once again, that's where that whole "it's not about you," or is it?
Yeah.
Right. So to keep us a little bit on track here, it's not about you, meaning the world doesn't revolve around you. You got to start to kind of participate and care about things outside yourself a little bit.
Right.
And then, or is it about you? And that is, a lot of times the issues you're having, it's about you. It's about your outlook, your perspective, your way of interpreting, or your way of handling things or seeing things. And so I think in one sense, we got to be selfish in a way of we got to work on ourselves. But in another sense, we got to be altruistic and trying to see it from other people's perspectives and approaching things outside of ourselves a little bit.
Well, the anger I've seen in all these marches and these things, the anger I've seen young people express, at least they're young people, and young people are allowed to express themselves or whatever they want.
Absolutely.
But we know how many adults are really around them.
Yeah.
So for the amount of the adults that are around them, and the amount of teachers, the amount of what do you call it, the news people,
Yes.
to not help them with what's really going on, and instead use their pain
Exactly.
and use their anger and frustration
Exactly,
for
yes.
political reasons
Yes.
is so to me it's like child abuse. And it's like, if you say that though, you're some evil redneck gun-toting
Dude, I guarantee you-
AR-15 NRA-loving
Even right
madman.
now, people are watching this. I guarantee you right now, I'm going to get some sort of
It's
email
so
or post
ridiculous.
about how bad I am for saying this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're
Absolutely.
not allowed to say, hey, can someone give these kids a hug for real?
Yeah.
Because at first, they were crying.
Yeah.
Now we're in the other stage where they're yelling. I mean, a girl the other day threw up on stage. And
Wow, I didn't see that
she
one.
threw up.
Wow.
The only 2 minutes that I watched of the whole thing, she
Wow.
threw up while she was talking.
Wow.
And yet, they were real nice with her and all that, and the camera did go away after
Sure.
she threw up the first time, and then they came back to her after she was done.
Gosh.
But
Wow.
the point was What adults are around these people saying, "Oh, they wanted to do this, so let them." You know what? A lot of young kids want to do a lot of things that we tell them not to,
Exactly.
because it's not good for them.
Of course.
You know, let's be very careful what we're allowing these young people to do without giving them true help,
Yeah.
and giving them a false sense of security, which says, "Well, if this gets done," or what they're saying is, "These people don't care about you. These politicians don't care about you. Your government right now doesn't care about you."
And I
That's
think
the wrong
dangerous.
message.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous.
It's the wrong message.
Because to me, also, it kind of perpetuates that whole anybody who believes differently than me
Right.
is bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's where our problem comes
Yeah.
into play.
Yeah.
You know, like, for instance, one of the other ones that just to kind of stick with those little memes that I see all the time. Like
Yeah.
the whole, well, first of all, if you don't accept me, my words, if you don't do what I think you should do, then you don't deserve this. You're bad, right?
Yeah.
Or the,
So before you go on from that, does that mean if I cheated on you, like if we were a couple, Trinity,
okay.
and I cheated on you,
all right.
is what I'm
Bastard.
saying?
How
I
dare
know,
you?
But is what I'm saying with that sentence saying you should accept me cheating, and if you don't accept me as a cheater, well then shame on you. You don't deserve me anyway.
That's what it could be interpreted as.
It could,
You know,
right?
what I'm picturing is you don't deserve
Too
me my
broad.
worst. What I'm picturing is you don't deserve me my worst, right? What I'm picturing is the person who's like yelling and screaming and
Yeah.
and defensive and argumentative, even aggressive at times. Just this kind of just a pain in the ass. That's what I'm picturing.
Not cool.
Because you're having a bad day, right? So because I'm having a bad day, I should be allowed to do whatever I want, and you should accept me for that because you should know I'm having a bad day. And then if you don't do that, well, then when I'm having a great day, you don't really deserve me to be nice because you weren't accepting me when I was being bad. Like, that to me is such a selfish little shithead way of thinking of it, to be honest with you, man. Like, it perpetuates that me. It's all about me.
Right.
Well, what about the other person in that equation? What about the person that was having their own bad day, but they decide not to take it out on you? Mm-hmm. Like, what about in your little tantrum, did you stop and say, hey, are you okay?
Why aren't we rewarding that behavior? And,
Exactly.
You know, let's reward good
Yes.
behavior and good decision making.
Yes. And this idea that, you know, we all deserve like the best person, all these other things. Like, it's this, once again, it's this the me. It's all about, like, the one I see here that I keep going back to that I don't think I've said is, don't let no, not that one. Don't bother me unless you're, like, you know, thinking marriage and things of that nature.
Oh boy.
You know, that's the idea is I'm so amazing and I'm so fantastic and great. Don't waste my time unless you're thinking you're going to marry me tomorrow. And that's men and women, by the way. It's not just women. Well, maybe you're not that great.
That's a scary first date if you say
Yeah,
that.
right? Dude, I actually saw, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Squirrel. But what if you're not that great of a person?
Yeah.
You know, like, what if you
Yeah,
think
what if
you
you're
are?
still in progress?
Yeah.
I mean, process.
Like,
Whatever,
I know
however you
me,
say
like
it.
me 10 years ago, 15 years ago,
Under construction.
I wasn't that great of a person, right? I mean, I was a good human being, but my behavior sucked.
Yeah.
I was full of anger and rage, and I was defensive, and I was aggressive in certain areas. Like, I was not that great of a spouse to be around. There's no way.
Right.
So, but to use these kind of philosophies that I'm hearing right now, if I were to buy into that, and if we had a lot of social media back then, I
Right.
just told my age a little bit, I guess, but if social media was as big as it is now as it was back then, or whatever, or vice versa, I guess.
You mean when you did MySpace?
Yeah, MySpace. Wow. But if social media was as popular and big back then, I could have complained about what I was going through
Yeah.
10 years ago, and I would have a line of people that they don't deserve you, and all
Right.
sorts of, but they would have been wrong.
It's because the friends have always done that, Trinity. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Your friends have always accepted.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen guys, you know, in situations complain about their ladies, and all the guys just jumping on it because they have issues with their ladies?
Oh, dude, we
and the
could go
women
right
do the
now.
same thing. All the women
Yeah.
get together and they
Yeah.
complain about how bad men are. It's like we're so horrible at being a good friend and just say, you know, maybe he's not that bad.
You know what? I got to say that, you know, and probably, I know you because of the therapeutic aspect.
Right.
I know the two of us, when we speak about, you know, issues that we may or may not be having, not necessarily with spouses, but just in general.
Right.
We both kind of take a very therapeutic approach with one another.
Yeah.
But I have another friend too who is not in therapy at all, but he has that same kind of approach, and he's one of my go-tos. And I talked about this a couple shows back about knowing who to vent to and who to say what to.
Of course.
I go to him because I know he'll be the one to tell me, and he's done it before. Dude, you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, he's been like, because I'll go to him and, hey, man, this is what happened. And instead of him saying, yeah, man, I can't believe her, no, I'd be like, yo, bro, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. And he'll keep me in check.
That's the kind of friend you need.
Absolutely. And that, to me, is not accepting me at my worst.
Right.
That's encouraged me to build. right? And that's what I want to be surrounded by. I don't want somebody just going to accept me at my worst. I'm not good at my worst, man. Nobody should deserve that.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are, you deserve my best.
Right.
Just the fact that you have a pulse and you are a human being, you deserve the best that I can give you every day of your life. You don't have to earn my best. And that's where the masturbation comes into play.
Right.
You don't. This idea that other human beings need to earn your love and your respect and everything. No, they don't.
Because you're the prize.
Yeah. Like, no, you don't. Everybody, just a human being, deserves love and respect and kindness.
Right.
You know, me being kind to you, even if you're just being a pain in the butt today, it doesn't cost me anything to be kind to you. Right. If anything, I might pull you out of that. You might be like, man, I'm so bad. This dude's still being kind to me. What's wrong with me? You know, you never know. Because the arguments, we all know how to respond to that. You know, I mean, if I'm in a bad mood and someone comes at me in a bad, I know exactly what to do with that.
And negativity is much more contagious, unfortunately.
But, you know, if somebody's kind to you, no matter how you're treating them, and that's, they kill them with kindness, you know, that came around for a reason. It works. You know, and so this concept, that just to me is just this me stuff. And I see it everywhere. You know, the postings about that, the Me Too movement, even a little bit. I'm not even going to go into that one, but the march for the schools, like all this stuff.
It seems to be a lot of the same people that actually embrace that whole go smile at somebody, be inclusive, you know, put your arm around them, hug them.
Right.
But right now, that's not what's happening.
No.
But I think that a lot of them think they're still hugging and being inclusive and helping someone. I think they still think they're fighting with love right now, but that's not love. I'm watching a lot of hate and hearing a lot of hate.
Absolutely. And that's where the whole
and blame
was that the other hashtag woke.
Yeah.
You're not woke, bro.
No.
Like you think you're woke
because
you've latched on to this particular vitriol, if you will, this particular thing.
Right.
But you're not woke.
Billy the Kid had a gun.
You're only
I mean, he's been around. I mean, I'm serious. There's been a lot of gunshots, and if you just woke up right now, if that's what woke means, where the hell have you been?
I just like I said, I just think that's I see too much of that right now, and I don't think enough people are calling attention to it. I think people are joining the bandwagon, and nobody's questioning the process that led to it. You know, like if somebody's all about like the politics right now. Yeah. Were you into politics because you believe in how politics can frame a country and improve everybody's lives and what it's all about? Or are you into politics because you're upset that Trump won?
Have you ever seen? Or
because you're upset that the liberals are upset that Trump won? Like, are you getting into it because you're upset that your personal ego and your personal values got rocked a little bit, and so now you're responding because you care? Or are you caring because you just care? And I think that's where only you can answer that yourself. That self-awareness. Go ahead. I know I can see it. You got something.
I just, when you said that, it just reminds me of all the man in the street kind of things that you see them do where they'll go ask people, even on university campuses.
Right.
Just simple political questions.
The
and they don't know simple answers about politics.
Yeah.
Like you hear a lot of young people right now talking about Second Amendment, Second Amendment, Second Amendment. I would challenge most people to just name me, 2 amendments.
Okay.
Like tell me what the First Amendment is.
Free speech?
You think I know, Trinity? I'm not saying I know, but at least I admit I don't know, and therefore I don't fight these things because it's like, listen, me being woke means I work as hard as I can on just being a good person to myself and to those around me.
Yeah.
I work really hard not to judge you for what you do. I work really hard to appreciate you no matter what. I allow myself to say, you're being ridiculous right now, and no matter how bad you hurt me, I'll forgive you in a few hours because I'll forget anyway.
Right.
But the point is that I don't feel like sticking my feet in any kind of concrete.
Sure.
And then saying this is the way I'm going to think for the rest of my life, and that's it.
Because
I think that's ridiculous.
It never ends well.
I just don't appreciate concrete thinking, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that I think one of the most important things that you were kind of you touched on there was telling other people you're being ridiculous, whatever. Yeah. I think one of the most important things also is to be able to admit when you're being ridiculous.
I do all the time.
Of course, and I think that humility, right? That ability to look inward and say, I might have been wrong on that.
That's what I think stay woke should be.
Yeah.
When I see woke, I think what that should mean is I am more aware of how I am part of the problem.
Yes.
And I think that would be woke.
agree.
It should never be woke that I see that you are doing something
Exactly.
wrong. Woke should mean I see that I'm doing something wrong.
Exactly. And that's where the whole "it's not about you, or is it?" comes into play.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
agree with you.
It's not about you in the sense of we got to start caring about things outside of ourselves a little bit.
Right.
But it is about you in the sense of, at the end of the day, and whose parent hopefully didn't tell them this, is only you can control you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can't make anybody else woke. I can't make anybody else change their minds or their perspectives.
Right.
I can only deal with me.
Right.
And believe it or not, you can change other people's perspectives through your own behavior. Right? That was one of the biggest things I had to learn, in all of the readings that I've read over the years and whatnot, when it comes to like interpersonal relationships, right? Not necessarily man and woman, but just relationships with other human beings, is how much indirect control you actually do have. Right. And we call it, and I mentioned, I think it was last week, is equanimity, right? In Buddhism, is I can't take somebody else's suffering away, but what I can do is give them love and compassion and generosity, right?
Right.
And through that love and compassion, generosity, it actually helps them come around, believe it or not. It really, truly does.
Yeah.
And I've seen this in my own personal life, right? And it's through my behavior I can affect change by just simply being the example. What did Gandhi said? Be the change you want to be. There's some truth to that.
Big time.
Attraction rather than promotion, right? Instead of me telling you how great all this stuff is, let me just live my life and show you how great this is. This is. Even though the Buddha himself, right? That's how he did it. He first set out to try to go tell all of his people before him that trained him how to meditate and all these other things. When he finally found the Dharma and he came, hey guys, this is it. I got the secret. They all like, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. Leave us alone. You're stupid. We tried to teach you. You didn't want to learn. So then he just lived his life, and they saw the level of peace that he had. And they're like, man, maybe he did find the answer. Let me go ask him. Right. And then they came to him, and that started the wheel of Dharma. That's how he started teaching.
Nice.
Right. And so, in this kind of situation, I think the first thing we need to do is look inward and say, it's not the guns, it's not the other people, it's like me as a father. Am I doing what I got to do right now to make sure one of my children are not the perpetrator of a crime?
Right.
Am I doing enough?
Yeah.
And that's where I look inward. I do my best to make sure that I approach all four of my children with love, dignity, respect, compassion, and I talk to them.
Right.
Because I don't want one of my kids to feel that life is so overwhelming and so burdensome that their only answer is to go shoot somebody.
And you did the right thing right there, Trinity. I want to highlight exactly what you just said right now. No, because I think it's real important, and so I want to highlight it. You're taking the stance that instead of doing a training or a conversation about how not to be a victim of a shooter, you're taking the responsibility as a parent and saying, I want to make sure that the pain and frustration that my children are definitely going to go through, because everyone goes through it, that they don't choose to harm someone else.
Yeah.
And that's the real issue here, is that right now, in schools all over across America and in workplaces all across America, all across the world, there's somebody suffering so much pain and frustration that they're thinking the only way that I can deal with this pain and frustration is to hurt other people. I want other people to feel what my pain is right now. And instead of focusing on them, we're focusing on tools or other things that people use to cause pain.
And that actually worries me. And in our private conversations, I told you one of the concerns I had they start banning some of these particular tools, aka the guns. I told you flat out.
Bomb.
My worry was I'm old enough to remember pipe bombs being a problem.
Yep.
Here, especially in Central Florida, in the 90s, I think it was. There was just pipe bombs everywhere.
What happened in Austin?
Yeah, and it's happening.
It already did.
Austin, there was this big bomb scare all over the city, and so to me, it's not a tool, man.
The entire city was afraid.
Yes.
And got less attention.
Yeah.
Because of when it just so happened to happen.
Yeah. And so I think that I think that's the problem with the me stuff, is I think that it's like a snowball effect, and it sounds trivial, but it's legit. In our personal relationships, it's always about me. Like, I'm so great, I deserve all these wonderful things, but you got to earn these wonderful things from me, right? Or man, I don't need to be a better parent, or I don't need to kind of give my kids coping skills and everything else. I don't think these things are right, so you need to be punished, or I need to take this from you. No, man, because it's just going to continue to get worse. Put it this way. That's the philosophy we as a country, as a society, have had for a long time now.
Right.
Is it working?
Right.
Obviously not.
Well, and me going on your me thing, I don't view this particular weapon as a hunting weapon, so therefore it shouldn't be considered a hunting weapon.
Yes.
Or I don't want to have that weapon,
Yes.
so you shouldn't have that weapon. That's still the me thing.
Yeah.
And when this was happening in Austin, that was going on.
Yeah.
Instead of even seeing that, no, let me back up. You know why I didn't get attention? Because it wasn't political.
Nope.
There's no way to politicize the bomb.
Nope. Not
There
yet
was no way to
anyways.
politicize what was happening.
Yeah, not yet. They will though. Give them time.
Politicize a bomb?
They will. They'll find out a way, man.
Well,
Somebody will.
No. The only way they try to politicize it, they did try to find a way at the beginning. Remember, because it was African Americans that got bombed.
Oh, I didn't see any of the
Yeah. So initially, they were thinking it was a hate crime,
Okay.
and it may or may not be. We don't know yet. I don't know if that's really come out yet.
Yeah, who knows?
But that's we try to. In other words, we try to define everything like that. We try to make it fit in what me thinks.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We try to
Yeah.
in what me doesn't like.
Well, it's always it truly is though, right? Like if we stop to think about that, and I don't know, if I get enough responses, I may or may not do a show in the future on acceptance by itself, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it does boil down to that, right? Like anything that's ever upset you or anything else, it's always the other person. It's always like, I'm good, man. I got it all figured out.
Yeah.
I know exactly what everything is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I've defined everything. The only reason why this isn't working is because of you. You don't think the way I think, so it's a problem.
Right.
And so you're wrong. You need to stop. I'm offended, so you got to change the way you think. You got to change the way you talk. No. This me stuff is what's getting into this problem.
It's the same thing as you treat me with respect, you get respect.
Yeah.
Which I don't like that one. That's the one I don't like.
You give respect to get it, man.
I'm like, I give respect because that's what
Absolutely.
I choose to do.
Exactly.
Because that's what a good person should do.
Yeah. And so it's the me until it's not convenient anymore, right? It's always me until it comes time to improve, and then it's you.
Right.
Right. It's only me because everything I agree, everything I think of is right, but you is wrong. Right? No. If it's me, then it's got to stay with the me. Me is wrong as well. And that's what people don't realize. It's in a like a friendship, a relationship. If you're getting upset and things, it's you. It's your expectations aren't being met. Your masturbation isn't being met. It's not that person's job to live up to your masturbations. It's not that person's job to live up to your expectations. It's your job to have expectations that are conducive to your happiness, which would mean none, to be honest with you.
So we got to practice saying F me a little bit more often.
Exactly.
And not just in a positive way.
We got to stop thinking that we're the greatest ever. We got to stop thinking. We got to, you know what it is? And I think my buddy's actually watching right now. If not, I know he's listening. Him and I had a conversation a while back, and he put it in such a beautiful way.
So
And
tell us.
instead of approaching the situation trying to think that I'm right and how I'm going to convince everybody else why I'm right, I'm going to approach the situation like I'm wrong. And I'm going to try to listen to figure out what the right answer is.
Yes.
Right? And so start trying to approach situations like you don't have the answer. Let me approach it like I'm completely wrong. I don't know anything, because the older I've gotten, the more I realize I don't know anything. And so start approaching situations like I don't know anything. Let me learn. Let me figure out what the right answer is. Let me start listening to different people. Let me figure this out.
Right.
You'll notice you'll get a lot further, man. But this idea that I've got all the answers and I'm right and it's all me, it's not going to end well, man. It really isn't.
I've gotten so much dumber as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've just realized so much that I don't know.
But to me, I think that's a beautiful thing, though.
It is.
I love not knowing anything, because that
Oh my
means I
God.
get to learn every day.
Ignorance can be bliss, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about sometimes it's just beautiful that you can be this old and still be teachable. I think
Right.
that's one of the things that I really work hard to do, Trinity, is just to be teachable. I think that
Same
we
here.
learn a lot from each other as friends, and I think that when you have friends that you can learn things from, even if it's just to learn something that you thought you already knew, but when someone else repeats it, like you said, your friend said something in a manner that now you've learned it. Well, you probably knew it, but it was never put in those words. Therefore, it wasn't something you could repeat the same way, and now you did.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're around people that challenge your brain a little bit, and challenge your thinking a little bit, it helps you really learn it.
And then that was, and that's kind of what I was trying to get in touch or get into, get out there, I guess, in my personal growth episode, was learn, man. Like, stop thinking we know everything, essentially.
Right.
But I just think that I see a lot of that, man. Whether it be on the news, on the media, on social media, I just see so much of it. And I don't see enough people challenging it. Is what I don't see.
Right.
Right. I see a lot of people feeding into it. I see a lot of people agreeing with it and kind of seconding that, but I don't see enough people challenging that. Right. And I think that's my problem. And this lack of self-awareness, right? Mm-hmm. I had an interesting discussion with my 18-year-old yesterday. He said he wrote a paper in school about was war justified or not. And it was interesting, actually, because him and I, it was two sub like topics, if you will, that were completely, him and I are both opposite on. The two topics were is war justified, and the death penalty.
Okay.
His stance was war was never justified. There's always another way.
Okay. And
his stance was the death penalty was okay in certain circumstances, but it shouldn't be used as much as it is now.
That's very interesting. That.
Yeah. And so my stance is war is sometimes justified, right? Because my first thought was Hitler. There was no negotiating with him. Like, there was no other way. Like, it had to. Sometimes you have to meet force with force when it comes to those types of things.
Yeah.
You can't just allow somebody like that to run free, because obviously he's going to start to get power and things of that nature.
Right.
And so that, to me, was unavoidable. But then with the death penalty, I kind of messed him up a little bit. And this is where the whole me thing. Right. Once again, he was thinking of the shooter, because him and I had the conversation about the shooting. He got kind of passionate about it, and he thinks that the the shooter deserves to get the death penalty, and a lot of other people feel the same. I've seen it all over the news where people. What I think is interesting is they say, "Oh, the shooter needs to rot in hell and needs to get the death penalty and everything else." But my problem was, I asked him yesterday. I was like, "Hey, is killing wrong? Should anybody ever murder or kill anybody?" He's like, "No, of course not." It's like, so what are you doing with the death penalty? Right. He's like, "Well, that's different." I was like, "It's only different because it aligns with your thinking." Yeah. Right? Because at the end of the day, you're doing the exact same thing that person, that you believe in something so much that you're willing to kill another human being for it. That's the same thing. Whether you feel that person was right or not, at that moment they believed in something enough that they felt that the only solution was to kill somebody. You currently believe in punishing somebody enough that you should kill somebody. It's the same thing. So if you're going to say killing is wrong, maybe you shouldn't do it.
That's why I don't say killing is wrong.
Touche.
Because I got to admit, I
Sure.
Not only do I feel sometimes war is justified, but I also believe that the death penalty is justified. However, I think we do it wrong.
Okay.
I think the actual victim should be the one allowed, to, at least given the option.
Right.
Because I think that would change the way a lot of people do feel about the death penalty, because I do take it very seriously, actually.
Okay.
And I think if you're going to be such a bold person and say, yes, I believe in the death penalty, then you should experience it then.
Yeah, you should be the
Therefore,
one doing it.
You have the onus and you have that.
I think a lot less people would do it.
I think so too.
It's a lot different.
I think so too.
And, do it.
But my problem with the death penalty is not the death thing, Trinity.
Okay.
It's the judicial system and it not being.
There's a lot of innocent people. Yeah.
In other words, that is what I'm afraid of with the death penalty, not the death issue.
Well, the thing that
the judicial system.
One of the examples I used yesterday to get my point across to him even was, if we do the death penalty, right? If we kill this kid,
right,
he's dead. Like, he can do no good at that point. It's over. You take that option off the
there's
table.
no benefit.
But if we keep him alive, and let's say he had a mental health issue, who knows? I mean, I think the jury's still out. Who knows? Right. But let's say somehow, some way, all that stuff was to get kind of addressed.
Right.
And he's able to come around and kind of see the error of his ways and be able to either write a book or do some interviews to get some insight into what made him do what he did and help us understand that path a little bit better and prevent it in the future. Is that not a great benefit?
I think it's a fantastic benefit.
And there's no guarantee that'll happen, but if you end his life, that's guaranteed to never happen. Yeah. It's 100% will not happen. But if you keep him alive, there's some good that can still be done.
I think there's so much to be learned from people doing life in prison.
Of course.
All the people in life in prison could teach some amazing classes.
But the problem is, back to the me. We are so hurt and we are so right that you have to pay for this. You have to die because you don't agree with what I agree with. You don't think the way I think. Right. And I think, once again, that's another example of how that way of thinking causes problems. Right. more so than we probably realize, man.
Mm-hmm.
If we look back a lot of the conflict that we've had in our lives, it's really not them. It is me. But it's me in the sense of I'm the problem, not them.
Right.
And I think that's what people kind of need to wrap their heads around a little bit.
Right. Well, go ahead and help us wrap that around. And you got about 5 minutes left of
we are
educating us about the
I gotta
the
come
ways
up
that
with
we
the,
can get better with this.
Oh gosh, I gotta come up with the 3 things, right?
Well,
Wow.
you gotta help us understand. You got to close it up for us, Trent. You
Yeah,
can't
right.
leave us wide open.
I gotta do my
After saying it's not about me, you got to tell me. All right,
Yeah.
well, how do I not make it about me
well,
then, Trinity?
so the whole "it's not about you" is we gotta get outside of ourselves. We have
Okay.
to start caring about things. I guess it comes down to principles almost.
Okay.
I care about the school shootings, not because I've personally been affected by it, not because my children have been affected by it, because I think it's a wrong thing. I think it sucks, and what I'm doing about it, I'm not claiming to be woke. I'm not doing hashtags. I'm doing a show about it, I guess, but I'm trying to ease that burden. I'm trying to go after what I think is the problem, and that is the coping skills. So I'm trying to do my best to give as many people access to coping skills that I can, right? And so, and I'm aware enough to realize that I have a problem with it because it's a real problem, not because I'm personally affected by it. And so, I think that we as a society have to start getting outside of ourselves a little bit and start caring about the broader spectrum. And just a really brief example, and I won't go too far into it, but because I know you and I could go off all day about it.
Of course.
The other thing that we do is addiction. We both work in that addiction field, and people are always saying that they care about their fellow man and death and everything else, and yet 175 people die a day of addiction.
Yeah.
And that's just drug overdoses and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
You want
That's
to be
not-
woke? Wake up to that.
Yeah, that's not food addiction. That's not behaviors that they're addicted to, because the number goes way up when you start talking about that. So strictly sticking to drug overdoses, for instance, which a lot of them aren't that bad, seedy person. A lot of them are people who had a car accident who were prescribed something, and now you're addicted. But
And even if they're not, it's still your brother, your
Exactly.
sister.
and so those individuals are dying all the time, 175 a day. Let there be 175 people die a day of school shootings and see what would happen. And so I'm always frustrated when I hear people up on their pedestal talking about every life is important and we got to stop all this.
Right.
I question. I was like, really? Because if you really cared about that, why are you talking about this too?
Right.
And so we care about what personally touches us, and I think that's part of the problem. Is I think that we have to stop waiting for something to affect us before we start to care about it. I think we should care about it because it should be cared about. And so, I mean, I could go on and on, man. There's so many different, aspects of it. But that's the point. Is
Well, how many kids in these high schools right now know someone that's using an opiate
of course.
that
course.
you're not what are you doing to help your friend right now
Yeah.
get out of those opiates right
Well,
now in every school across the United States right now?
I'll back it up even a little bit further at the same school stuff. How many of those kids now who are advocating taking guns away were willing to go sit at that kid's table that nobody liked?
That's right.
I mean, were you that noble that you were like, hey, nobody likes this kid. He's kind of the weird one in the room.
Right.
Somewhat aggressive at times for no reason. It seems angry. I'm going to go sit and just see how he's doing.
Right.
No, I'm going to ignore him just like everybody else. But then when he goes off and, he doesn't know how to handle his pain and shoots everybody, then I'm going to come up and say how wrong he is and we
Right.
got to change gun laws and stuff.
Yeah.
So, we have to start caring about stuff outside of ourselves. Just because it doesn't impact you doesn't mean you shouldn't care about it.
Correct.
Because it is impacting you because we're all in this together. There's another human being suffering, man. We're all, as much as we like to think that we're disconnected, we're not.
And, I really like what Marissa just said. I know you're doing your 3 things, but she said bullying was marched against, but this shooter was bullied like crazy. That could have been prevented.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. And then so the other half of it is, maybe when I say it's not about you, meaning not everything revolves around you, and the other half is maybe it is, and that is maybe you are the problem in some of these, these situations. I'm going to say that you are the problem. It's I'm not saying that you're the adulterer, or you're the abuser, or you're the whatever. What I am saying though is a lot of these issues that you're having in your life, it's because of your expectations, your masturbation, if you will, your musts, your conditions that you put on things. This idea that you're always right and you're infallible and everybody else is wrong. You might not think that you think that way, but look at your behavior. If you're the one that wants to say they don't deserve you, you're part of the problem. Because everybody deserves good. Everybody deserves kindness. So if you have ever uttered those words, this person doesn't deserve me, yeah, they do. Maybe not in the way that they want you, but they deserve kindness. They deserve your your spirit, if you will, your love, right? And so I think that's the message to walk away with today, is just start to care about things outside of yourself and start to look inward to see how you're contributing to the problem of your life as well as the lives around you. I think that's the message to take, man. And
I like it.
You know what? Me too. I think I'm going to stick with that. So
You sound woke.
yeah, hashtag woke, baby. Anyway, so I digress. It is now. We only have like a minute or so. So I'm gonna put some word out there. We have the Couch Live on Fridays, 12 to 1, which I'm also on, co-host with the Dope Doctor over here. We have the Lemon Squeeze show. Some fantastic ladies. Make sure you tune into them. I believe their live shows or their new shows are on Mondays at 7, I believe. Right?
Correct.
Producer here. And then we got Recovery Radio that comes up right after me. So when I'm done, stay tuned to WPSN99.com. Check out Recovery Radio, The Couch Live, and The Lemon Squeeze, all fantastic shows. And now to wrap it up completely, hopefully if you listen all day, if you have, you know better. And now that you know better, be better. See you.
Do you think he plans it all out? Or just makes it up as he goes along?